Hi guys, Alistair Taylor down here at Lytham Golf Academy. Today we're going to talk about how often should you be changing your driver. So lots of you guys might have bought new drivers in 2018, maybe in 2017, but going into 2019 there's going to be lots and lots of new products out there again, and you know there's that big sell from all the manufacturers about the new drivers all singing, all dancing, need to have it in your bag to help you play better. But I'm going to hit a current driver from 2018, I'm going to hit a driver from a few years ago, and we're going to talk about how often you need, ideally, to be changing your driver. So guys, if you're new to the channel, welcome down to Ali Taylor Golf. Click the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, let's get my videos to you as soon as they land. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, both under Ali Taylor Golf, but for now, let's see if you need to be changing driver. Right then guys, so I have got the original M2 from TaylorMade, which I think was either very end of 2015 or very start of 2016, and I've got the M3. So current model, potentially something new coming for 2019, but more news about that in the next few months. So we're going to hit 5 shots with each. I'm going to put the same shaft into the M3 as well. So we're going to talk about, obviously as the manufacturers launch new products, huge amount of marketing involved, and very much about how good the new driver is, kind of how impressive the new driver is. And I think the little bit I'm a touch uncomfortable with is they kind of make it then sound as though the old driver's not still a very good driver. And you know, there's certain limits on what we can do with golf clubs now. There's a maximum head size that they can do, there's a maximum ball speed relative to club head that we can get. So the perfect strike, I think, is already very, very limited. So it's about, are the drivers becoming more forgiving, maybe a little bit easier to use, maybe a little bit more dialable in. But this is a good thing that maybe over 2-3 year period, did we see much of a change in the product? So my personal opinion, before we even hit balls and look at numbers, is that potentially the original M2 might still be the best driver that TaylorMade have ever made. And there are times that I do end up putting this back in the bag from time to time. So let's hit 5 shots with this, then we'll move on to M3, and we'll see what difference in that 2-3 year period we've seen with the product. So it's a really good solid one to start, just turning over. And over 300 yards to begin with. Now, like I said, this is one of my old drivers. I do love this driver. I do tend to have the latest products in my bag as well. Part of that is I am fitting for new products, and I do believe that the new product is a little bit more forgiving. So, good one to start with. So that was a little bit out the toe, and we can see a lot more shape on that. So that's one that would certainly get me in a little bit of trouble. And that's where this driver, I think, is fairly forgiving, but definitely found that the good ones are very good. Maybe the ones that I'm a bit off with are a little bit destructive. Okay, shot 3 with M2. Again, that was a little bit towards the toe. And we can see shaping round to the left more. Not quite as much as that second one. So first one was a good solid strike. Second and third have definitely been a little bit toey. That felt more solid, but again, too turny. And what I would say, this one's actually set with the club face open. So this is trying to discourage me hitting it left. Okay, so one final one with the original M2. And again, left. I mean, obviously you guys that watch my videos will appreciate the left is my bad one, but that's what I always felt I had with this. Probably a couple of solid ones and everything else, not far towards the toe, but just a little bit towards the toe. So let's switch over. Okay, so move over into M3. So obviously very, very different looking, and I know this is a little bit more adjustable on the sole of the driver. Again, felt nice and solid, and certainly not shaping as much as M2. And I think for me, when kind of M1 and M2 came out, it was very much round the everyone chasing that kind of higher launch, low spin, which was great for distance, but wasn't always fantastic for accuracy. Whereas we're still obviously looking to try and get that spin down around where we're looking for, but we're not always chasing 1700 revs per minute. Okay, so shot 2 with the M3. And again, more playable. Felt a little bit higher up the face that time. First one just felt a little bit low in the face. And bearing in mind, guys, I'm just trying to put the same swing on this every time, or as similar as I can. So it's really down to, you know, contact point, and then how much that little bit of change in strike really affects the ball flight. So shot 3. Well, that one felt a little bit more towards the toe, so a bit more shape. I think the spin will go down. We'll probably see that one chase out a little bit further, as expected. And I will stress here, I do expect to draw the ball, but I am aiming straight here, so we'll see how much the ball is curving from driver to driver. So 2 more shots with the M3. That felt a poor swing, but see, it's left, but maybe not quite as far left as some of them with the M2. And let's go one final one with M3 before we look at some numbers. Again, a little bit drawy, bit more shape than I'm really looking for, but solid strike. Okay, so certainly for me, ball flight there, M3, even on the ones that weren't great strikes, there was a little bit more accuracy than M2. But let's look at the numbers and see what difference there is between slightly older driver, new driver, and how we can then talk about how often you should be looking to change your driver. So when we look at the numbers, actually got a little bit more ball speed out of the old driver. I think club face a little bit closed, kind of, even though it was launching a little bit higher at 12.5 as opposed to 11.8, spin really, really low with M2, which is why the ball's going to go a long way, but maybe struggle a little bit on accuracy. So 2.7 spin with the M3, so maybe a little bit high. Ball striking not quite where it should be on the face. And if we look at distance, we had 2.68 against 2.63, 2.94. So the old driver actually longer, but the average offline was 40 yards left. Now, even if I'm playing for my draw, that's too much. Whereas an average of 20 or 22, I can play with that. I can aim down the right edge of the fairway, and that's going to end up back in the middle of the fairway. And because the shape's pretty consistent, I can play with that where the spread's too big with the old driver. Right then, guys, so we opened the video with how often should you be changing driver. Now for me, like I said as well at the start, you know, we're only looking at kind of tiny possible gains in distance, and it's more about those strikes off centre where we're going to get that because of the limits that are imposed on driver. So I'm a big fan that I think the stuff's becoming more and more forgiving, and that's what the manufacturers are having to do. And I would say you shouldn't necessarily be changing every year. If you're fitted correctly, I would say probably 3 years, maybe 3 to 4 seasons, but still a lot of you guys out there not fitted properly for driver, and particularly when equipment's changing as potentially it is with certain manufacturers this time of year, just rolling into December, a lot of guys are going to see the old product discounted down, rush out and buy it, but you're not necessarily buying it set up for you. So it might be a great price, but it's not a great deal if that driver then doesn't perform for you. So I would always get along, get fitted, even if it means paying that little bit more to begin with to have that latest bit of product. If you're not fitted, get along, have it. If you've got something that's a year old, 2 years old, and you fancy going to try that new stuff, try it. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised just how well your current equipment, your current driver actually performs. So there might be no need to change at the moment. But it's an interesting dilemma, and one I get asked a lot as to how often you should change driver. Like I said, I think if you're fitted well, maybe every 3 seasons, maybe a little bit longer for some of you guys. Some of you guys will want the latest product, not necessarily because it performs any better, but because you like to have the latest driver in your bag. It's your prerogative. Put in the bag what's right for you. So guys, hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, like and share it. Comment below and I'll get back to as many of you as I can. Click the subscribe button below, ring the notification bell. Let's make sure you get my videos as soon as they land. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, both under Ali Taylor Golf. Hopefully catch up with you some of you guys down here in the future. Stay in contact.